Hello, John. We're at the GDN conference, and could you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is John Asafu-Adjaye, and I'm from the School of Economics, University of Queensland in Brisbane, Australia. So I was here to attend the workshop on climate change. Basically, the aim of this workshop was to set up a research agenda to conduct climate change research in developing countries. As you know, most of the work on climate change has been done in the advanced countries. Even in the US, there's been heaps of work done on climate change, as well as in the European countries. Unfortunately, there's very little work done for individual developing countries. And in most of the studies that we've been given so far, like the Stern Review, developing countries were actually treated as aggregates, and most of these aggregate costs and benefits do not mean much for individual countries because we are all lumped together. So the aim of this research was to set up a research agenda in which, going into Copenhagen, we will start some work to inform the negotiating process. And after that, there will be a program of research to inform policy making with regards to adaptation and mitigation of climate change.
Were there some different points of view about the challenges of doing this research in the developing countries?
Yes, obviously, and just to let you know, the workshop was not made up only of people from developing countries. We had people from researchers from advanced countries, from Europe, from the US, and from the UK. Obviously, there were some differences in terms of the priorities of the research, and mind you, this is because the participants are coming from different backgrounds, different perspectives. So what one person sees as critical may not be the same as what another person sees as critical. So initially, I think there was some divergence in opinions as to which should be the priority areas. But we seem to have converged at the end of the workshop. So, I'm happy to report that I think we all were of the opinion that, for example, you cannot separate mitigation from adaptation. They should go hand in hand. But the cost of even adapting and the cost of mitigation, it was agreed that most of this should be borne by the advanced countries because they're the ones who are responsible for the current stock of emissions in the atmosphere due to the past emissions patterns. Obviously, the other fact is that developing countries in the future will be the major emitters. In fact, even as of 2004, I've got to check my figures, but in the last few years, developing countries have accounted for over 66% of CO2 emissions.
And increasing. Yeah,
and it's increasing. And it's going to increase into the future. So which means that developing countries cannot keep on blaming the advanced countries for pollution because we are going to be among the major polluters. So we have a responsibility also to take action in the future.
You also mentioned some discussion about China and something you learned about what actions are going on inside China.
Yes. Before this workshop, I didn't have much information about what's going on inside China, but what emerged was that China is actually undertaking ambitious programs to cut emissions. And these are just internal, outside of what's being spoken about outside, overseas. And these are really ambitious plans. But my concern is that for these plans to continue, I think they would need to be encouraged to do so by some kind of negotiation between the advanced countries and China. Because, as you know, well, China admits that it has a pollution problem, but at the rate at which they're developing, there's a great demand for energy. And China produces coal, but even that's not enough to meet local needs. And so it's got to import coal from other places, especially Australia. Australia is a major exporter of coal to China. So this is all to feed the development process going on. But I think they realize that they have a pollution problem, and they're actually taking measures to deal with it. But the extent to which this is sustainable will depend on what happens in Copenhagen. And I think if the US signs up to the climate change agreement, I think the next stage should be some negotiations between the US and China to cut emissions.
Good. Well, thank you for your insights.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.